Bad boy.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You have tuned in live to the flyest sports and entertainment podcast in all the land. This is Stat Lines Matter. I'm your host, Mark E. Stewart, with my partner in crime, as always, Mr. Rob Hunter Jr. We are here with a special edition of our show today. We're going to focus on one topic, but before we do, I would like to ask you to go to our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and get the notifications so you'll know what we're doing. You can be notified on all the things that's going on with us, and follow us across all of our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at statlinesmatter. And download the Fanbase app where you can get with us on our live chats where you get to be part of the conversation in real time in our audio rooms. Again, that's on Fanbase, so download that. Follow us all there. Tell your friends, tell your mom and them what we're doing. We're doing something really cool and enjoying ourselves while we're doing it. Today's episode is us actually bringing you into a discussion that we have all the time. Now, I got to set this stage before I even throw it to you. We are going to have a discussion about the GOAT, whether it's Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Now,
or Wilt or Kareem.
No.
Just them two?
It's just one. The GOAT conversation is really about one man, but we're going to get into it.
Okay. So you think LeBron's the GOAT?
The interesting thing about this discussion is that it didn't always exist. Rob, many years faked and feigned that he was a Michael Jordan fan. He watched games behind enemy lines with other Bulls fans with us, cheering, rooting, pretending to care when we won and be hurt in the few times that we lost. And then one day he just woke up and became, I think you were radicalized by Nick Wright. Nick Wright radicalized you. And then one day you woke up feeling a different way. But I will say this. I think it's a good thing because back in the day when I left Chicago right after the first championship and moved to LA. And by the time we won our first championship, we got a lot of what Chicago fans call Jordanairs, fans of Jordan that populate the rest of the country. And we were happy to have them. You know, being from Chicago, we weren't like a winning city. We would win every now and then. We had 85 Bears at that point. But we didn't have a legacy of winning like the Lakers or the Celtics did. And when Michael showed up, it gave us our first extended stretch of winning. But we also got a lot of Jordanairs, and we welcomed you and your friends on our bandwagon to come and root and be part of it. But we knew that there was a special place. Now, what the years have done, because Mike hasn't played a meaningful game in 20-some-odd years, we have shaken off the Jordanairs off the wagon.
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Is what's driving even a lot of what this discussion is, because now Rob has been freed of all his Jordanaire and now his Jordanairisms, and now he's a promised child. He's a child of LeBron's promised school. LeBron promised to take care of him and feed him from his own pantry.
The pantry.
And as a result, Rob has opted in, and he is, I believe, is Team LeBron. I don't know. Maybe he said Kareem earlier, talking about Bill Russell, guys. You know, I remember seeing Bill play against the old
Magic
back in the day.
Bill playing him in the Wilt. Those were some really good battles.
It was. So let me start off by saying, in your mind, or asking the question, in your mind, is this a larger conversation, or is this about Michael and LeBron?
Well,
or does it incorporate more players?
First off, if LeBron offered to feed me from his pantry, that would be lit. I would openly, because you know whatever's in his pantry, it got to be better than what I ever had in mine. I mean, LeBron's. I mean, you seen his Taco Tuesday? I mean,
I've heard about it.
Yes. I mean, well, yours actually is very similar. Taco Tuesday. I've been here. I've seen this is a gluten-free tortilla. This one here is
this is wheat, all wheat, whole wheat tortilla.
For me, I think that I think it boils down to first off, I come in peace. I do not come.
Well, I'm bringing violence. I'm choosing violence. I just want to say that right now.
Yeah, I choose.
I'm from Chicago. We choose violence.
Yeah, I choose peace. I'm coming. You coming
like the civil rights,
the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Arms locked. From Selma to Montgomery.
Yes, and though I may get hit upon my brow with your billy club, I will not retaliate.
I left my billy club in the car.
Okay, so yes, I mean I think that when you keep watching a player like any player do what LeBron's done, which is obviously he's heading into territory. He's done a lot of things that Michael hasn't done, and some things that he's not yet eclipsed Jordan, but he's one of the guys who is is entering rare territory, particularly statistical rare territory. So when you start to look at just the level of production, and you look at how he's done it in various cities, it stands to reason where you go, man. I mean, this guy could be, I think the part where you and I differ is I think the conversation deserves merit, and you just don't think it deserves any merit whatsoever. And so that's my position is I come in peace, but I do think that LeBron is definitely in discussion for greatest player of all time. I'm not ready to make a declaration yet, but I do think that a lot of the things that he's done that no player has ever done, I think do merit that validity in the discussion. Yeah. Mark,
do you think?
And I wasn't a Jordanaire when they got rid of the coach. They got rid of Mike and Scotty. Everybody let Dennis at the same time. I'm like, what the hell kind of craziness is this? That you have been used to that dysfunction. I had not. I had never seen before the season even started. You talking about? Well, Phil ain't gonna come back. What kind of dumb stuff is that? Like, I'm not supporting that. Now, I guess maybe being that I'm not from Chicago, I could leave.
By definition, it makes you a Jordanaire.
You were
there. You were there for Jordan.
I was there.
Did you ever watch a Bulls game prior to Michael Jordan's arrival?
No.
Okay, let's move on.
I didn't. Well,
let's move on.
No, I didn't.
I didn't. That was like national TV, but
no,
I'm saying
I didn't do that. But okay. But in my defense, I wasn't a Bulls fan during the first 3 championships.
Okay, by more definition,
that's not by more. Jordanaire. Because Mike had been there.
So you were a Bulls fan for 3 years.
3 decent years.
You're a Jordanaire.
Yeah, 3. Well, actually, when he first came back, it was lit. Yeah, man.
Decent years. 3 legendary years. We won 72 games, and then we won 69 games. Yeah, you jumped on at the right time.
Well, no, I'm just saying it wasn't because of the winning. Because you guys were winning. You had already won uniforms. You had already run 3. You already won 3 championships before I got there.
Was it cheerleaders?
No, it was. I tell you why.
They had the best nachos.
I tell you what happened. I didn't have no. Did y'all have the best nachos?
I don't know.
Did you?
We had nachos.
I'm saying, did you eat them inside of not United Center, but before that?
Yeah, both places.
I'm saying you ate nachos in both of them. How were nachos? How were nachos?
I mean, they're nachos. It's cheese.
I'm saying, how were they?
They're not same in Atlanta.
So yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I'll tell you what happened. What happened was I was such a Michael Jordan fan.
Sometimes
all that. And shout out to Cynthia. I forgot that you told me that she's the one that said, I want to be like Mike.
She sang it a little better than that.
So, quick fun fact about this, right? So I was on the phone with this girl when I was about 15. Actually, I was 15 years old. And she could sing really, really, really well. And I'd be like, sing this. She would always sing the Vanessa Williams, sometimes Say the Best for Last. And so I was like, can you sing, can you do the Michael Jordan, I want to be like Mike? And she said, no, I'm not doing it. I could do it. I'm not doing it. I'm like, come on, do it. Back and forth. I was like, if you don't do it, I'm going to hang up on you.
She was a Dominique fan?
And she was like, fine. And she just belts out, I want to be. And I stayed on the phone with her.
That's so funny.
And then the next time, call, same thing. She didn't do it. I hung up on her. I hung up. Then she calls back. I said, hello. I want to be.
Weirdo. Super weirdo.
So that's a true story. Venus, wherever you are, shout out. Anyway, so when he came back, I was really excited when he came back, and I was rooting, really hard for Michael, and he came back against the Pistons. Obviously, everybody remembers that. And the loss against the Magic, it just pissed me off. Like I didn't. So then I guess that moment really made me more of I was looking forward to. And then when they brought in Dennis, I was such a big Dennis fan that it just allowed me I just sold out basically for them. And I mean, who don't like Scotty, And so that was the genesis of it. When they lost, that's what radicalized me, if you will. Like that's why, because I didn't like the fact how Horace was all up on the show. I didn't like none of that. I didn't like that.
Horace didn't like Mike.
Yeah, but I didn't. Yeah, that shit pissed me off.
You can curse.
And so that shit pissed me off, and I was like, man, wherever Mike at, wherever Mike, I
didn't want you to run it back.
Hey, wherever Mike at, I know he is chomping at the bit to get back at this. So I was excited when the season came, and so I was all on board. But, I'm I won't. But okay, now
for the record, we never accepted you.
So. You did accept me.
We did not.
You came to pick me up before the Jordan games because you wanted me to be there for the energy. You came all the way to Decatur to pick me up. That happened.
I have no recollection.
So now, okay. So here's the thing, and this is why maybe I don't have the emotional attachment, because I didn't watch how bad the Bulls were in the 70s and in the 80s, before Michael got there. So I do understand the sense of maybe like, oh, you're one of those guys. You're the betrayal.
That's not. I don't think it's betrayal.
Okay,
we knew. We just understood.
But you can't take away what we were. We
weren't anything.
No, I'm Dennis. You was Michael.
We weren't anything.
And Tricky is Scotty. And maybe Laney wasn't here with us then. But the point is that we were the three. You cannot take away what we accomplished together.
I'm taking it. It's gone.
You cannot take. I think I fit perfectly because I am Dennis. I wasn't there for the first three, but I was there for the second three, and I was a pivotal part
of the fandom
of us taking it to where we took it, and I shared in those champions. We shared in hugs. We embraced. It was lit.
Little did I know.
I was at Tricky's house when he hit the shot at the thing.
I remember.
Yeah. So,
little did we know we were being infiltrated. By a future LeBron stan. Let me take a moment let me take a moment to speak to my Chicago folks.
You were the double agent.
You were Donnie Brasco.
LeBron was like in the sixth grade.
You were Donnie Brascoing us.
But okay, all right.
Let me take a minute to speak to my Chicago people, and I know we have many supporters back home. Ridiculous. I think one of the things, because I think when we get into numbers, and we can get into numbers, the show is called statlinesmatter. You and I are both real big stat guys. There's many things that favor Michael. There's many things that favor LeBron and his longevity and just stat compilation and compiling stats and stat whoring.
He's not compiling. He's not compiling.
Stat
He's not a compiler.
Averages 29 points a game on a losing basketball team. Just
he's like 46 years old. That's lit.
Yeah, he's like Jerry Rice, just compiling stats.
Rice was compiling after the Raiders, yes, because he went to the Pro Bowl with the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't bowl.
Hey, he was compiling with Seattle.
He was trying to go to Denver. He was like Jerry. Side note: Jerry would still take an NFL job for below the minimum salary if he could just put his records out a little further.
Hey, he was when they told him he was going to be the fifth receiver, he was like, "What? What about?" Jerry was trying to be in Denver. Who was the quarterback? Was it Brian Greasy?
Yeah, maybe Greasy.
He's like with Ashley Lee and Rod
Smith.
Rod Smith and the golly and Ed McCann. He wasn't better than them. Nerve.
He Jerry Rice.
He is Jerry Rice. Still right now. He Jerry Rice and they still who they are.
They still who they are. But talking about Chicago people, the one thing outside the stats that Michael gave to the city, and you kind of got to be from the city to really get this. If you follow Chicago sports, there is definitely a sense that if something could go wrong to keep us from becoming what the Lakers were, or what the Celtics were, or what the Cowboys were, or the Steelers, any great organization, if something could go wrong, it would go wrong. We experienced the 84 Cubs with a 2-game lead over the Padres in a 5-game series, lost 3 straight. We watched what should have been a dynasty in the Chicago Bears, starting in 84. We went to the playoffs. I think we went to the NFC Championship game and lost to the 49ers, got thrashed, and then went to 85. And 86 should have been similar. 87 should have been there. And it just simply wasn't. What Michael did.
Whose fault was it? 86, 87.
Ditka. I blame Ditka. He ran off. The first thing was running off Buddy Ryan. There were some personnel issues. Guys that wanted to get paid. The team didn't want to pay him. Even in the 85 year, we're off base, but the reason that Dave Dorson and Wilbur Marshall got to start is because they were replacing 2 holdouts, Todd Bell at safety and Al Harris at outside linebacker, who were coming off Pro Bowl years in 84.
And wanted that money.
They wanted that money, and then they replaced them, and both those guys went to the
Hey, Wilbur Marshall?
A monster.
With the neck brace?
Yes.
If neck brace, if I play football, I would wear a neck brace no matter what position.
Intimidating.
Yeah,
it's intimidating.
And I want that one.
Yeah. I'd play quarterback.
And with the neck brace.
With the neck brace. I'll be doing that. But listen, the one thing that Michael gave us that we never had was a sense that no matter what was going on, we had a chance to win, and we were probably going to win. You never thought, you were actually legitimately shocked. And we know there were times where Michael missed shots. Michael had lots of 9 for 27 games, but he got to the foul line 15 times, still ended up with 27, 28 points. Mike knew how to score. He knew how to get his buckets. But we always felt until the clock read 0, we had a chance to win. And I think that's what separates. It's one of the points of separation between Michael and LeBron is that he was so clutch. Even when he failed, you were shocked that he failed. I think conversely, we see LeBron in some late game situations, and I've been around Laker fans. I've been around fans of LeBron. He has a fair amount of game winners. He hit one in the All-Star game. Obviously, there's no pressure on that, but it was still a clutch shot. But there's a feeling that it could go either way when he's in those situations. It's a nuanced thing in terms of how people feel. Obviously, there's no statistical support because I think they both had successes and failures. But what he gave us as a fan base was a sense that we always were going to win, in that whether it was in the finals. I watched that game 6 against the Utah Jazz the other day in the last one. We should have won that game. Everything was going against us. Mike was having a horrible shooting night. Scotty was basically a decoy. His back was, or ankle, I can't remember what it was, done. And he was gutting it out, doing the things that he could do. But Mike, just possession after possession on each end of the floor, just made the difference. And as Chicago fans, when you saw him take that shot, it was like you're just going, there's no way he's going to miss this shot. Like you just literally felt we were going to win. And I just think that's what galvanized the city. Now, as a Jordanaire, and I say this like not being funny and respectfully, did that feel, I don't know how that felt when you're not from the city. Because in order to feel that, you have to feel the hurt and pain of the 1983 winning ugly White Sox that won 100 games and lost to the Baltimore Orioles in the playoffs. There's a lot of heartbreak that went into why we love Mike and why we revere Mike the way we do.
I mean, and I totally understand that. It's similar to the reason why people still love Vic the way that they do here in Atlanta. It's just that where we were and then where he took us and how relevant he made us. It was the first time since the Super Bowl year that and the Dome's been sold out ever since Michael Vick got drafted. The Dome and now the Mercedes-Benz Stadium has been sold out every single week. The reason why that's significant, if you guys don't know, is if your game isn't sold out in your home state, then there's a blackout.
Yeah, your city, yeah.
So you don't get a chance to see your game. And so
unless you go to the game.
Timeout, yes. And so it's not broadcast in your city. So from the time I got to Atlanta in 1985 until very rarely, like when the Cowboys would come to town, we would sell out. but I've probably only saw the Falcons on TV in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium and inside the Dome maybe 7 times until, of course, we sold out the very next season after the Super Bowl. So that 99 year was a sellout. And
that was a 4-12 year.
3-13, and then closer to the mid 98. We started to sell out because there was some stuff going on, right? We started winning some games. Ray Buchanan was playing well, et cetera. Anyway, so I understand. My point is that when somebody gets to the city, now Michael didn't come in with as much fanfare as Vic did, but obviously he earned that as the season came. He started to play, whereas Vic came in and it was like just total. Obviously he had the amazing college football career, and the style of play was very fan friendly,
very Atlanta friendly.
Well, I was about to say, particularly to the urban community here. And me, I was all on board, so I understand what it's like to get a guy that just all of a sudden now everybody's eyes are on you, and Vic certainly. He deserved that. So I understand.
Let me ask you this question. Is part of what makes LeBron appealing, let's say outside of his hometown, is because there were so many guys, I won't say so many, but there were a handful of guys that were anointed the second coming of Jordan. Vince Carter, maybe.
Kobe.
I think Kobe kind of forced himself into the conversation.
He forced it.
Because we didn't know who he was.
I mean, when he came in with the ball head and his style of play was very, very similar to Michael.
Yeah, you could tell that he was emulating, but it wasn't the thing that led in. Like, even with Harold Miner, before the draft, they were calling him Baby Jordan. They were calling Vince Carter. LeBron, I think having the hype as the chosen one, and the guy that everybody goes, and the fact that he lived up to it.
He exceeded it, right?
And exceeded, not so much that they thought he would be the next Jordan, but the next guy that the NBA could build around and be the face of. And he never failed in that respect. Do we sometimes, is he getting extra love because he accomplished that? Because he accomplished actually filling the shoes and actually not crashing and burning? Because even and not that the guys, it's not that, Vince Carter was whack. He just didn't have certain elements that Mike had. He was exciting. He could jump. He had the dunking. In fact, his dunk reel is as good as Mike, maybe better.
Between him and Sean Kemp, best in-game dunker that I seen.
Yeah, and then one of the guys that was talked about, not so much like Jordan, but was really balling like that, was Grant Hill. When Grant Hill came in as a kid, because I think there was some series where him and where Grant was really showing it. He had the hops, he had the game, he had the IQ, and then he had the injuries, and that derailed that conversation.
For a while, those guys had injuries coming out of Duke, right? Jay Will, Bobby Hurley.
Well, Jay Will's injury came from a motorcycle.
I'm just saying. I mean, it seemed like the guys just getting
something.
hurt.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
And Hurley was a car accident.
Yes, with the Sacramento Kings.
I didn't really put all that together, but yeah. And so you had all that, but LeBron sort of rose above it all. He actually came in too when the league was revamping its image, because we had some Sprewell and Gilbert Arenas issues and Rasheed Wallace and guns in the locker room and all type of stuff.
That was Arenas, wasn't it? Gilbert Arenas and Jarvis Creighton. You said Rasheed Wallace.
But Rasheed Wallace, all those guys, when he was the Trail Gangsters, all of those things were going on at the time. And then LeBron comes in and really is clean. Clean. To this day. Never no drama, never no whatever. I think all those factors play into why we're having a conversation that I don't even think we should be having.
Well, I
think he's been great for his era, but I don't think he's if there was no Mike, he's the GOAT. But there is a Mike.
There's a Mike. And I think that he deserves to be right there, in that conversation with him. Just like I said, just based on just basketball accomplishments. I think that people don't want to have that discussion. Not you, but I think that
I don't. I've been clear. I don't want to have that.
But you don't want to have it because like I have to. You from Chicago, like most other people will have the discussion.
Yeah.
But I think that when he chose to go to Miami, I think that's. Well, I was going to say the exact opposite of your point is I think that took away. He became a villain of sorts, and I think that people, there was a general good feeling about LeBron when he was in Cleveland, and I think that when he went to Miami and did it the way that he did do it, a lot of people grew. That they looked at him in a negative light, and I think that, and I think deservedly so, the way that he did it, not going to Miami, but the way that he did it, even though he gave all the money from that show to the Boys and Girls Club. Even
that was always an overrated fact to me.
It's not. A lot of people don't even know.
I will say
the decision broadcast, like he gave every penny to the Boys and Girls Club. That's not. That's like super underrated.
He could have gave that check to them anyways.
But I'm just saying, he decided. That's very thoughtful.
Doesn't he give
very
promises?
Thoughtful. But he didn't have a promise out.
Promises?
The promise wasn't out back then.
He could have promised them that money.
The promise wasn't even out back then.
It could have been out.
That was the first promise.
He could have dropped the promises then.
But he could have. But he
waited. He waited
that was a version of the promise.
Like he waited like the new Dre album.
A precursor.
I'm gonna wait.
That was a precursor to the promise.
Yeah.
It was the interlude.
I will say this though. It was the interlude. I'll say this, and then I'm gonna address that point. Part of what also Chicago fans love about the legacy of Jordan is that ascension past the Celtics, past the Pistons, who, it was the Pistons who got the Celtics, and then we got the Pistons. Mike's rise to prominence is something that we take and hold very close and dear because we had to overcome. We had to get the personnel right. Krause, who takes a lot of heat, had to get the levers just right because you have this, once in a life, like literally once in a lifetime talent that you had to put the right pieces around, right?
Didn't Thorne draft him?
Thorne drafted him, but Krause
drafted everybody else.
Yeah, Krause built
everybody
the team.
Else. And brought in Phil Jackson.
Yeah. And so he
tried to bring him in earlier.
Yeah, he's trying to do the levers to get he's moving the levels to get everything just right. And we're watching this and we're going through this journey of Detroit physically beating us, out thinking us in the game because they were a very intelligent physical basketball team, defensive team, and us going, we got this amazing player. We don't want this wasted. And so when we got and cleared that hurdle in 91, I know how I felt. I said, we can't lose. There's no way we're going to lose. If we beat these guys, there's no way we're going to lose. And I think that has a lot to do with how Mike is, again, loved in Chicago and why we defend him so hard. Again, I can never identify with that part of it as a non-Chicagoan. I don't know what that means to somebody who's not from the city. You know what I mean? Of how we overcame that. But I also think, to your point, and I agree, it hurts LeBron's legacy when we get to talking about the resumes. And like I said, we got the stats, but we're talking about the intangibles. That would be the equivalent of Mike getting to 89, 90 and going, I'm going to go play with Magic. I'm going to see if I can get Magic and Bird or Magic and Moses Malone, whoever, was some combination of top 10 players. Because that's what Wade and Bosh were, top 10, top 12 guys, 3 of them. Mike didn't do that. And so I think that's a point of separation. And then everybody goes, what people come back to me with is, well, he exercised free agency. That was his right. And it is his right. I'm not knocking him for that. I'm not even penalizing him for going to Miami if you did not feel that Cleveland was committed to winning. He had a great time. The Miami Heat was must-see TV. I never missed the game. I was hating, even back then, because at that point the Bulls, the Rose Bulls were kind of pushing them in some series. But I never missed the game.
And they defeated. That's pre-injury.
Yeah,
Rose.
Yeah. But I never missed a game. LeBron's that good, and he brings them all out. But I will say, in the legacy GOAT conversation, I view that as a prominent point of separation.
I think that's fair, right? But for me, where I think things, and people talk about the losses, I don't think LeBron really. I don't want to say cared about. I don't want to say that he didn't care. But if he wanted to keep winning, he just could have just stayed in Miami and probably have won. Obviously surpassed 4 by now, maybe even 6, 7. Who knows? But I think when he went back to Cleveland, which was what was an improbable place to win a championship, particularly like, man, you're going back to Cleveland, you're going back. And when he, obviously when he came back against the Warriors from 3-1 down, I think that he exercised those demons in historic fashion. So
Cleveland's demons or his?
Both, right? Because Cleveland, the Cavaliers, obviously the championship that had eluded those Brad Daugherty teams, Ron Harper.
You being nice.
Well, they were the number 1 seed, I think, at one point with who was coaching them? Lenny Wilkins? Who was coaching them at that time?
Maybe was it? I forget.
But those teams with Brad Daugherty, they were really, really good.
They were a good team.
Larry Nance.
I don't ever remember them being about to win the championship.
Well, I thought, what I'm saying is,
but they were very
that's
good.
Fair. That's fair. But they were really good. Mark Price, Ron Harper, Hot Rod Williams,
knee injury, who was also on some, I won't say some mic stuff, but was on some.
Oh my gosh, the elevating, my man, the dunk that he had, and So I think that when he went back and he, came back from 3-1 down, I think that, all of those ghosts and all that, I think he exercised those. So for me, I think that
I don't know if it was for me. I don't know if it was a complete exercising, but I agree with you in the sense that it definitely, again, it put a definitive thing on the resume that you have to give him credit for.
Well, yeah, and then the fact that in a way,
because he went to a worse team,
and it saved that Michael team because it kept them with that 72-10. Because had the Warriors won that, then they would have been the best. Well, the discussion for best team in history would have been between the Warriors and the Bulls, with the Warriors having the better regular season record. Yeah. And obviously winning the title. Now that all that stuff just went away fast because that was the talk heading up to that, obviously into that series. If they win this, will they be the best team ever? They broke that regular season record, and then obviously LeBron rained on their parade, and now the Bulls have
LeBron and Kyrie.
Yeah. Oh, LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love. He's right.
No,
obviously
Kyrie showed a big time.
Kyrie hit a big shot. I think LeBron had scored like 12 straight in order for him to lead to that shot. But the point is that that's a huge shot. You cannot, just like Robert Horry made those big shots for the Lakers, and the story has been written the way that it should be for those teams. Robert Horry wasn't the deciding factor because Shaq and Kobe had played well, but he still hit the shot. Derek Fisher still hit the shot against. But
Kyrie was a high volume scorer in that series.
He was a high volume scorer, and he was a major part to that win.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He did lead them in scoring in the regular season, did he not?
I don't know, but I know he led them in shot attempts.
Yeah,
I do know that. I'm not sure if he.
I think he led them in scoring, but he was different than Horry. To your point,
yeah, he's different than Horry. He was, anyway. So the point is though. So when he came back and won that, because it wasn't just the fact that he had come back from 3-1 down or 1-3. It was also the fact that, he beat that team, which was about to be regarded as the best team. I'm sure a lot of people would have regarded that was the best team in the history of basketball. Statistically, they would have been.
They would have been had they won, but I didn't.
Now you ain't even got to talk about it.
No.
Because LeBron just came on in and just did that for you. So you should be thankful. No, that's one less discussion you got to have about.
Because I see what you did there. That's good. That's good. No, I actually think that would have been a great, like barbershop discussion. 73-9 Golden State, 72-10 Chicago, both winning the championship, and have that discussion. But I think that would be an easy.
There's no you're not having a discussion. Regardless.
No. I think it would have been a discussion.
Any circumstance.
I think it would have been a discussion, but obviously I feel like we would come out on top because I'd be like, well, which one of y'all gonna check Jordan?
I guess they would have said what? Iguodala.
Iguodala?
Yeah, I guess they would have said Iguodala. Iggy.
Yeah.
Like, he bigger than him. His feet move, shot it. I don't know, man. That would have been tough, man. You saw what he did to LeBron. Like, you'd have gotten all of that.
But we don't have that to concern ourselves with. I will say this, though. In the LeBron discussion, that singular Cleveland championship is the crowning moment
by
of
far.
LeBron's tenure.
Yeah, and he said so. He said, I feel like that separated me from a lot of guys.
No doubt. And it definitely separated him, in my opinion, from his like era of contemporaries. Like, now, because we're still in it, Curry's still playing. Curry's playing at a high level as well as LeBron.
And Curry been playing at a high level since last year.
Yeah. So, but LeBron is a significant next stretch above these guys in his era. I just always feel, and my argument it'll never sit well with me to have this conversation about LeBron because of all the other things. Like, yeah, he could go ahead and get more points. Kareem got more points than Wilt, but Wilt's dominance in the window that he was dominant shows a different dominance than what Kareem was. Michael, the fastest to 30,000 points, like I think 960 games to 30,000. And that is with missing the majority of 2 seasons, one to injury and one to retirement. I think he played 17 games in 86 and maybe like a 16, 17, 18 games in 95. So the majority of those 2 seasons were missed, and he was still fastest at 30,000 points. And I think that shows in the window the dominance. Now, obviously, I'm not one of those people who will, and I joked a little earlier when I was saying, talking about LeBron compiling stats. I give credit in a real sports argument for longevity and being able to stay mostly injury free. Takes care of his body. You got to give him credit for that because that's hard to do.
Some good fortune.
And he's just physically gifted. Yeah.
You look at Michael at that second year, getting hurt. Was the second season?
Second season.
Being able to avoid injury or play through.
Yeah.
Whichever. I mean, I don't think he was completely injury free. To be able to do that is just, you have to have some good fortune on your side.
Yeah.
And
outside of that injury,
having it that early.
Mike played 82 games like
a lot
9
of times. Yeah.
And he played like more than 78 games like another 3 or 4 times. So it's like when he was available, he was available.
Sure he was. Yeah. I mean, I think so you talk about, I mean, if you talk about stats, LeBron's the king of that. And I got them all here. So I mean, if you're going off of that, he's got. I mean, he's a guy. And it's funny, as I was looking at this, I was like, man, he might be more part of the GOAT conversation than what I thought. 'Cause he got a lot of stuff that he's only done, and I have them here. But he's also got a lot of stuff where it's just him and Mike. It's just him and Mike, like tops in player efficiency, right? Mike's number 1, and LeBron, and this is career. LeBron's number 2, and they're separated by like 0.6. And if you look at win shares, LeBron's number 1, Michael's number 2.
Yeah.
It's like, and you look at these stats, you go back, if you keep seeing Michael, LeBron, or it's just some of these things are just LeBron. Particularly the statistics in, he's the number 1 player in history, number 1 as far as forwards and assists, number 1 in the history of the game in assists. And you start looking at the rebounds, and you start looking at the only thing that Michael really has over him statistically is the scoring and the free throws. But everything else, so you start talking about a complete basketball player. The complete basketball player is going to be, that's LeBron James, statistically speaking.
Yeah, so, I take issue with that.
So when you start to look at just when you're reading the data, you go, not knowing that Michael played for Chicago, these are just 2 guys. You go, man, I mean, these 2 guys must be the best. And I think
that's what I'm saying.
I think they need to share that barn of GOATs. I think they're both in there.
I don't think.
I'm gonna tell you why. They're eating the same hay. They're eating the same.
Unfortunately, the conversation doesn't end there.
Okay.
There's more to the conversation than that. I don't think you could have that conversation.
So you're not closing the barn.
No, I'm closing it.
But you're gonna leave the
barn. That animal's outside. The goat lives in the barn. LeBron's outside. Whatever animal he is,
he's a goat.
No, he's not a goat. He's a pig or something. But he's outside. This barn is for goats only.
So how many goats are in there?
It's just one goat. It's the greatest of all time. Greatest of all time. One person.
Hey, I'm coming over there when you turn your back, and I'm opening
open the door.
I'm like, come on.
Just going in there? Nah.
Go on in.
Nah, we're not doing that. No, there's more to the discussion to me. LeBron's right out of high school. Mike played 3 years of college basketball. That speaks to a lot of the stats. I don't want to say accumulation because I don't want to make it sound like I'm discounting. I mean, he did it. So
while winning a whole lot,
Yeah, no, and he won. He won, but he didn't win at the level and with the level of excellence that Mike did.
What do you mean by that? Like
because Mike won 6 championships.
Yeah, but he didn't make it there 9 times.
No, he didn't.
So the discussion doesn't start at 6-0.
So we're going to talk about how many second place finishes you get?
I'm saying you don't get credit for not making it out of your own conference.
And I'm not asking for credit for that.
You don't get credit. You don't get credit for losing to the Pistons
but
3 times.
But also you don't get credit for getting there and failing.
Yeah, but you got your ass whooped by the Pistons 3 times.
Let me ask you a question.
So you have a losing record against Isaiah. You didn't dominate Isaiah.
No.
You didn't dominate Bird.
No.
You didn't dominate Magic.
No.
So who did you dominate?
Everybody else in the era.
But who is that?
All through the 90s.
Clyde? Like
all through the 90s.
Who did he beat? He beat Clyde. He beat Karl Malone.
Well, you're saying that like what? See, that's the other thing.
But I'm saying like he didn't beat like the greats that you're talking about. Like those guys.
So Clyde Drexler's not a top 50 and top 75
Yeah, but
player?
Is he better than Durant? Who LeBron beat?
Yeah, but
who is Stockton compared to Curry? Nobody.
But wait,
LeBron beat Curry.
Wait, no. See, you're trying to throw a whole bunch of stuff. Hold on a second.
I'm throwing it like, who did he beat?
Hold on a second.
What dynasty did he beat? The only dynasty he faced, he lost to, which is the Celtics.
Who did he beat?
LeBron beat 2 dynasties. He beat the Spurs dynasty and he beat the Warriors dynasty. He faced 30 Hall of Famers in the finals.
How many did
Michael faced 9?
Okay,
and he has a losing record against them.
He doesn't have a losing record. He's 6-0 in the finals.
No, against them on the way. He has a losing record.
Okay, on the way, but once he got to that level,
so but it don't start there. It don't start at 6-0.
Why does it start at 6-0?
Because he went home 9 times. He went home.
He played 14 seasons.
He played 15 seasons.
He played 14 seasons in Chicago.
Yeah, but you can't. It don't stop there. You got to go with the Wizards too.
I don't go with the Wizards.
So
why am I going with the Wizards?
What you can't do is stop the conversation in Chicago. He played. That happened. Those statistics count. It does count.
Why does it count?
You can't discount like
I'm discounting it.
Wasn't he out there?
He was out there. I'm completely discounting it.
You can't discount that.
I don't even know that happened.
Oh, okay. All right. So that makes it nice and easy. You get to wrap yourself in that 6-0 blanket.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm absolutely wrapping myself in that because the Wizards were never. He went to the Wizards because the Wizards gave him ownership.
But it's still Mike.
They gave him ownership.
So Mike was still out there. They didn't even make the playoffs.
They made him a chip and they made him an owner.
Yeah, but he didn't even make the playoffs. We're talking about him as a player, right?
I don't even know that happened.
Oh my God!
I don't even know that happened.
All right, we go. Okay, we can do that. We can do that.
Again, you're done with your filibuster.
That's not. We're not doing the filibuster.
No, you did. You literally like you had all your talking points. Well, let's go back and address. When you talk about where you get to start and end the conversation, the ultimate goal is to win the chip. Before we got into the standing of LeBron James and the justifying of his accomplishments, it was always based on the amount of rings you had in modern day basketball.
You can't do that. You go modern, you put that in there, yes. So that eliminates Bill Russell.
It absolutely eliminates Bill Russell.
But you can't do that.
No, I did. I'm doing it.
So you just create your own metrics and you go, Mike's the best, and that's it. You know, that Wizard didn't count. Bill Russell's rings don't count. No, it's just this right here.
Listen, allow me to give you the context, and I will.
Yeah, but you be contexting it up, and you be recontexting
it. Well, because these contexts existed. See, that's the thing.
No, he played with the Wizards. So that was modern era. That modern era don't count.
You're jumping all over. At least give me a chance to address your points. The context that I'm trying to set forward is modern day basketball. When Larry and Magic came into the league was stuck. The league had been stuck. It's historic. We know this. Games on tape delay, finals games on tape delay, the whole 9. There was a change in style of play. There was a change in approach. There was a change in how everybody even saw the stardom of the game. Those guys started it. Dr. J added to it. Michael took it to another level. So I think that line of demarcation between the 8-team league that Bill Russell played in and the 30-team league that Michael Jordan and Magic and Larry and Isaiah and those guys played in.
Which became watered down when they started adding 6 teams in the middle of his run.
Or you can look at it and say,
got watered down when they added the Hornets, when they added the Timberwolves, when they added the Heat, when they added Memphis, when they added the Raptors.
Expansion has always been part of the game.
It has, but the teams wasn't good he was going up against. Those are off nights.
They're the same amount of off nights that LeBron's playing
No,
with.
because they haven't expanded the league since he came into the league.
But he was still playing with the same amount of players.
Yeah, but we know that expansion teams don't be good for a long time.
None of those expansion teams were in our conference. They weren't in our division.
But what I'm saying is
So
the
when you
league,
talk
when you
about
start
the
talking
Wizards,
about
you talk about the Grizzlies,
guys that can contest for a championship.
Yeah, you just mentioned
those are 6 teams.
You just mentioned a bunch of teams that none of them were challenging.
Correct. So you got the chill. So you got the chill. Those are teams that effectively were never competing in the East.
They weren't even in the East.
Which was the Heat. It was in the East.
I'm saying you just
the Hornets weren't in the East.
The Grizzlies were in the were in the West.
But what I'm saying is that league became watered down.
So that's
between 88.
So your argument against Michael Jordan is he played in a watered down league.
No, my argument against him is that you don't get to start at 6-0. You don't start there. You don't end there.
But Rob, 6-0 is is part of the conversation.
It's part of the conversation.
So is losing 6 finals.
But yeah, okay.
At what point do we get to discuss
we're talking
that?
about? So we're talking about.
Do we get to discuss
I think we need to add
it. Or do you just want to make it like fantasy basketball?
You're making it fantasy because you're eliminating the other seasons that he played. You eliminated the Wizards.
I'm not eliminating
the Wizards. That's a fantasy. He
I'm
played
not eliminating that,
and he did not make the playoffs.
Okay, fine.
He played against Bird and did not win a game.
Fine.
So when him and Bird are in the room, he don't have shit over Bird. He don't have nothing. So? He don't have shit over Bird.
When he dropped the 63 on his head,
and they lost. What are you talking about?
Okay, so now the winning and losing matters, right?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
So
you go 0-6.
6 finals.
He lost 6 finals.
So now it doesn't matter anymore.
But he made it there. So 50,
what does that mean?
So 58% of the time, he's in the last.
Second place trophies now.
Michael only made the finals 40% of his career.
Just for clarity.
40% of his career.
Just for clarity.
40% of his career.
Just to clear up our audience.
He was playing in the last. More times than not, his ass wasn't even in. You don't get credit for not making it out the East.
Clear up our audience.
You don't get credit for not making it out the East.
When does winning matter to you?
When Isaiah beat your ass, you don't get credit for that.
When do you get credit? Do you get credit for second?
He's 1 and 3.
So you get credit for second?
You don't get credit for losing early.
You get credit for second?
He made it further than he did.
So what I'm saying is, if you don't get credit for second, and you don't get credit for getting your ass beat, then what do you get credit for?
So okay.
How many times you walked off with the chip?
No, you don't get. So we're just going 6-0. So your guy only beating Isaiah 1 time. That's what's up.
In the finals,
he don't got shit over Isaiah.
In the finals,
he don't got shit over Isaiah.
Okay, are we talking about Isaiah?
For his career, he's 19-24 against Isaiah Thomas.
Fine.
He's got to lose in a regular season.
What year did Isaiah get to the league?
I don't know. But he got his ass whooped by him more times than not. What are we talking about?
Is Isaiah better than Michael? Is Isaiah in this
so
conversation?
You don't have nothing over Isaiah.
So does Isaiah
part of this conversation? The Bulls don't have nothing over Isaiah and the Pistons.
In this conversation?
What I'm saying is, he did not dominate those guys.
What are you saying?
He lost more times. Every time when he laced up against him, he lost. And all I'm saying is, all I'm saying
is,
that counts. I'm not saying it don't make him the GOAT.
No,
I'm not saying it don't make him the GOAT. I'm not saying it don't make him the GOAT. All I'm saying is, you have to include that if you're going to include the other losses. That's all I'm saying.
And I'm fine. We're going to include everything. So we're laying out the resume, right? We're laying out the full resume.
Si, senor.
What was the first question that I asked you?
I don't know. What was it?
The very first question that I asked you is this a conversation about Michael and LeBron, or does it expand to other guys?
It's about the very first question. It's about Mike. Well, this was the conversation.
Was that not the very first question I asked?
2 GOATs in the barn.
So if we talk about 2 GOATs,
you're not trying to let him in there, and he gets in there.
Tell me what Isaiah and Larry have to do with that. If we establish on the outset that this conversation was about the resumes between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, because when I asked you that question, you said it's about Michael and LeBron.
Correct.
Okay. So we get back to use your own logic. We can't act like the Isaiah didn't happen, the Larry didn't happen. Correct? 19. What do you say? 19-24 against Isaiah? Is that that's what your notes got?
Let me find it. Hey, you going?
That's what you put in your notes?
Don't worry about my notes.
Your copies.
Don't be copying out. Worry about my notes. Don't worry about it.
So you got that in your notes?
The copious. Is this in my? Yes, it's right here.
19 and 24.
19 and 24. Yeah.
Okay, and do you have any data on what he was against Larry?
11 and 17.
11 and 17. So that comes in, right? That comes in, right?
I think it has to come in relation to.
But it comes in.
Not making it out of the East.
But it comes in.
That's hard.
Not making it out of the East comes in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what
I feel
about
like he's setting me up for something big.
So what is
I am. Get ready for it. Get ready for it.
If it all comes in, what do we when in sports are we ever celebrating the second place trophy? The guy who loses in the heavyweight championship.
We're not celebrating it at all.
Okay, so
what we're doing is I'm not going to absolve him for losing in the East.
I'm going to let you finish
because then
I want to get it back.
Then you say 6, and Mike didn't even get a chance to have the 6 because he was too busy losing in the East.
Right.
So you don't get credit. You don't get to go 6-0.
But we just
you got to include that other 9.
We established that.
All right.
Did we not? We said that comes in.
I
on
didn't
the
want to
resume.
make it sound like you finna do something else.
We're
got some tricky words.
But at the same time,
tricky glasses on,
and
I don't like the glasses because the glasses make you think you finna try to do something to me. You know? You try to set me up. I'm on the stand and I'm like, damn it, what did I say?
But we also have to bring in LeBron's losing as well as his winning.
Hell yeah, you got to bring that in.
So okay, yes, you got the 10 finals. But 6 of them, you went home.
6 of them, you went home in second place.
Failed to win. And when do we celebrate? And the question being, when do we celebrate second?
You don't celebrate.
Ever. Okay, so that is a negative on his resume the same way this 19 and 24, and 11 and 17 is on Isaiah's.
It can be.
And let me also add, in that discussion of who we went up against and all of that, these are, when you talk about Magic, you talk about Larry, you talk about Isaiah, we are literally talking about some of the greatest players of all time. So Mike has a bad record against those guys, but Mike overcame those guys, got to the finals, and then ran 6 off in a row where he was never beat or defeated by any of his contemporaries in the finals when the championship was on the line. All that comes in, correct?
Okay.
So how do you how do you extrapolate if winning is the most important thing? If winning is the most important thing to define an athlete, how would you quantify Mike's winning with LeBron's winning?
Good question. I'm not. What I'm saying is that when when people argue for Mike, they go to 6-0.
Yeah.
And I'm simply saying you have to include. If we're going to include the six finals losses, which you only get to lose in the finals if you make it out of your conference.
But that's nothing.
That's how that happens.
But we don't celebrate making it to the finals.
But what I'm saying is, but when you're talking about 2 players with the resumes that these 2 guys have, with the statistical accomplishments that these 2 guys have, you have to bring in other things to try to separate them.
Of course.
And all I'm saying is you don't get to go 6-0.
So what do you think matters more?
Because
the fact that you were undefeated in those situations? Or the fact that you were under 500 in those situations?
Because you're not undefeated. You're not undefeated because you lost.
Because if
you could not make, but you don't get to skip there. You're trying to skip. You're trying to skip. I'm not going to let you skip.
Hold on a second. Let me
address
this.
We're going to talk about it.
You're trying to bake this into the pie.
We're going to talk 4 years in a row.
Using your own words. You said when you have guys with these type of resumes,
correct,
you have to find the things that you can separate them
for you.
So if you're in the finals,
no, you don't skip there.
We're trying to find things to separate.
Yeah, I'm looking at their entire playoff record. I'm not just going to start at the finals.
So we look at
because you don't get, because then you're excusing those losses in the East, and you don't get to do that.
So if we were to take this into other sports, and we looked at the Buffalo Bills, and we look at how the world sees the Buffalo Bills, they got to the Super Bowl 4 straight years, and they lost 4 times. Does anybody give a shit?
Nope.
Well,
hey, Andre.
Than Andre.
Hey, Andre, we got love for you, man. It wasn't your fault. Scott Norwood, I know that's still your boy, but had he made it,
at least you'd have got one.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, nobody gives a shit about the team that loses in the championship game. Nobody does, except for the fans of that team that look at that
don't give a shit
as hopefully something that they can build off of.
In your own conference.
Of course not. But it's the same thing, right? You lost somewhere on the way to what's supposed to be your championship. So when you get to what's supposed to be your championship and you get it 6 out of 6 times, and you get to your championship and you lose it 6 out of 10 times, I think that also counts. And including if you want to try to weigh those, like, again, you go, okay, now we're going to compare finals losses to playoff losses. Now we're going to start to use
the playoffs. That's what we're talking about.
Right. So if you're eliminated, you're eliminated.
You can't skip.
If you're eliminated, you're eliminated.
But he didn't get eliminated. He played 10 times. He played in the last thing.
What does that mean?
Mike.
So now in this specific conversation,
although you
earlier said that nobody gives a shit about second place,
when you lose,
now we're going to give a shit about second place.
No, what we're doing is we're evaluating the whole playoff picture. So
exactly.
you don't get to try to create the narrative for what I'm saying.
We already said
you're trying to jump over here. Get off my mic. Stay on your mic.
I'm a Bulls fan. I hereby acknowledge the 19 and 24 against Isaiah Thomas and the 11 and 17 against Larry Bird. Will you please put your right hand in the air and acknowledge the 6 finals losses, please? Please.
I'm just saying.
Can we at least acknowledge it?
No, I'm not saying I don't acknowledge it.
Can we acknowledge it as a legitimate point of separation?
You have to acknowledge.
Because why do you think
it's not a point of separation?
You don't think going undefeated in something
when
and
you
losing,
don't make it out of your own conference, that's got to be a black mark on your record.
It is.
All right then. So then all I'm saying.
But as much as that is a black mark.
Go ahead.
So is losing 6.
I agree. I'm just simply saying you have to to factor them both in, and I think they both GOATs, and they both in the same bond. And you don't get a chance. You're not keeping them out. You're not keeping them out.
Use your point.
I'm going to stand in front of the gate, and I'm not going to let you close it.
We're going to.
I'm going to do you like Coach Gardner did, Juwan Howard. You're trying to move, and I'm not going to let you come on.
We're going to use the nuances to find the points of separation, and that is one.
I think it's fair. I'm just simply saying. I don't think his career started 6-0. That's all. That's it.
Acknowledge the 19 and 24 and 11 and 17 and whatever the record was against Larry Nance and whoever else you want to pull up. Also, I think you have to also add, when you're talking about what it means, what Mike has meant to the league, what Mike has meant to basketball as a whole. Mike has been an absolute winner his entire career at every level. He won in college. He won 2 Olympics, one with just amateurs. He was the best player on an all-amateur Olympic team. He was the best player.
With Bobby Knight, the coach.
Yes, and he was the best player on the very first Dream Team.
Do you think that LeBron, with Michael, with where he took the league, and where LeBron, do you think that their impact is the same but different off the court? So I mean, like with free agency, what LeBron has done, and where Michael Michael Jordan was basically the Michael Jackson of basketball in terms of endorsements, in terms of pop culture success.
Are you asking this question? Let me just clarify. Are you asking this question in the context of social impact or impact?
Impact, not social, because I think probably LeBron maybe a little bit hevier, just related to all the
more
hoodies
outward.
and all that, and all that stuff. But I'm just talking about
more consumer facing
with player maneuverability, things that he's done off the court as far as like the movies and those things, kind of like. And then with with Michael, I feel like they both have. He's taken a baton from Mike.
100%.
And
100%. I think that without what Mike has done, it would be, I don't even want to say exponentially more difficult. I think virtually impossible if there wasn't a transcendent player. Because you got to remember, before Mike, guys had endorsements. Like you remember the old Converse commercial with Magic and Larry. I think Larry was rapping, Bernard King and all those guys.
I do.
That was what the endorsement.
No, Michael was the first one to have his own signature shoe.
He was the first one to have his own signature shoe. We don't even need to talk about the cultural impact of that, which continues, nearly 25, 30 years after he's left the game. And he's created the world for all these other guys to not only have signature shoes, but to have signature shoes having success at multiple levels. Because there is a Michael Jordan shoe, it keeps these guys with shoes. Whereas in the past, if these guys maybe, some of these guys that got a signature shoe that maybe didn't sell through like Mike did, would just be like, all right, we're going to move on to the next guy. A lot of guys get to keep their shoes because Mike has created an industry for these guys to exist.
Him and, what's my guy? The dude who brokered the deal? Sonny Vaccaro.
Yeah.
So
there's that. I think Michael, from a marketing, just marketing himself, the reason why guys dress up when they're walking into the arena and use that as a way of marketing himself. Mike was the first person to do that. He did it in suited and booted, but now guys are looking at it. Yeah, now guys are looking at it as a way of expressing themselves, building their social footprint so they can get things outside of the game. Mike, that was one of Mike's accomplishments, and I think you still see guys using that. Obviously, little things like the way the uniforms are made and stuff like that. I don't think that's nearly as big of a deal in terms of impact. It's just something that he helped influence, but I think there was other guys who influenced.
Well, I think
the way guys wear uniforms.
I think that they would, but not the way that Mike did.
Yeah, Mike did it in a way where it's never going to go back the other way.
Yeah, because these guys had like their shorts was like really close to the ball sack.
Mm-hmm. And then ball sack shorts.
And then Mike came with the baggy shorts. And then what I saw, just me experiencing it, just being in the middle of that, is guys started wearing. It was cool to wear basketball shorts to school.
Yeah,
like basketball shorts became urban wear. And that was totally because of Michael Jordan. Yeah. Basketball shoes became a part of the way you dress.
The way you dress. Yeah.
Urban wear. And I think with LeBron and his ability to develop business based off of, Michael's de facto blueprint off the court.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone's first deal, and I feel like this about Michael Jackson. And I feel like this about every basketball player who signs a shoe deal. You owe like 1%. 2%.
Some kick up.
Yeah, some kickback to Mike because whether it's Adidas, whether it's with Puma, all of those deals, the blueprint is what his was when he first got that $1 million check from Nike. And I think that, LeBron took that baton, but then he also started expanding it right into, movies and obviously the school. And he's doing all these different things, media companies, all these different things. And I think that, and then obviously we talked about, and you pointed this out, with the player maneuverability and being able to go, okay, we're going to take the control from the owners, and we're going to team up, and we're going to do, we're going to shift the balance of power based on the conversation that we have over the finest wine in the summer.
Best cigar.
Yeah.
I know, like in the banana boat, holding each other around the waist.
Boat.
But I will say this: the last 2 points of separation that I think are there.
I'm not going to have a rebuttal. Just go ahead.
No, and then I'm going to close the show because I can't.
My mics.
Michael
Stop recording now.
Jackson chose Michael Jordan to be in the video. The biggest pop star in the world put the biggest non-pop star in the world in this video. And then Mike made Space Jam and LeBron tried to remake it and it was trash. That's the separation.
My kids
Mike's the GOAT. It was trash. It was a trash movie.
My kids like it.
And the only reason they like it because they probably never seen the original.
No, my kids like, well, Levi knows the LeBron one.
Why would you even do that?
But it came up when you
I'm calling DCFS.
No, when you turn the
Department
TV
of Children
on,
Family Services.
It's one of the little
stop exposing your kids to that crap.
The screen that come on, one of the little resting screens. And so he's like, he wanted the Space Jam. Robbie likes the Michael Jordan one. He likes the Michael Jordan.
I'm not saying some social workers over there do a wellness check. Letting your kids watch this anything. Listen, this was a good discussion. We obviously solved nothing here today. I'm not moving off my square that Michael Jordan is the greatest to ever do it. Rob is a...
I'm just saying the conversation is open.
Yeah, I mean, like he said,
he's in the barn.
Isaiah, no, clearly you're an Isaiah fan now. He beat Michael Jordan's ass. So now that I know that you're Isaiah and a Larry Bird fan, I appreciate
I'm just simply stating
we are officially...
There was some difficulties.
I want to officially use this platform to kick Rob out of any fandom that he had where he was infiltrating us Donnie Brasco style, pretending to be one of us when he was not. I think you make some good points. In fairness, you made some good points and illuminated some things. It means none of them mean anything to me, but you did a nice job of making the argument and with your little copious notes. How many pages of notes did you have for this?
For this discussion,
pages?
1, 2, 3, 4.
You get to use all your shit?
No.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to make it about that.
Well, let's make it a part 2. So
I
want you to empty all your bag.
I didn't want to make it about that.
You know how many times he lost to Jack Sigma?
I just think that LeBron.
He lost 3 games to Jack Sigma in the Bucks.
Wait, that
at
was
the old Mecca.
That was the first series that he lost. Was against the Bucks.
Against the Bucks. Paul Pressey,
Terry Cummings,
and
Jack Sigma. Yeah. Sidney Moncrief
and the guys. I love those guys.
Hey, Ricky Pierce. Let me tell you something.
Those are my favorites.
Hey, Ricky Pierce.
Jordan Stoppers.
Wherever he at, if you can hear this, you used to give us hell.
They gave y'all hell. They didn't give us hell. Yeah, y'all Hawks.
They did. I was like, man, we can't beat these guys.
Anyway, listen, I'm gonna sign us off. We're gonna pick this up in a part 2.
Ricky Pierce could never miss. I was like, why? He's like 10 for 10
he used to get hot
from 12 feet.
I'm about to say mid-range bucket getter. Like that, there was a lot of those guys back in
the solidest point efficiency through the
mid-range guy. Well, listen, like always, we ask you to like, subscribe, and get the notifications. Like we always do. Also, please follow us on our social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All under the handle statlinesmatter. And get download the Fanbase app and follow us and get us on our live chats over there where we discuss games in real time, things in real time, where you get to be a part of the conversation. So we're going to sign off, but until our next episode, we're going to sign off. My partner, Rob Hunter Jr., myself, Mark Stewart. This is Stat Lines Matter.
Peace.
Bad boy. I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face. I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face.